I say this all the time. A good creative director is harnessing their vulnerability. I see it for every artist I work with, them at their worst because they're just learning. It's not refined yet. If they get it wrong, it's their livelihood.
Started out as a dancer.
Just dancing back up. Weird Al Yankovic.
What? The brand is everything. If it's not fully talent, could be their personality, whatever.
Times have changed. Social media is extremely prevalent in the world. You've got to build yourself an identity as an artist first. Then you build your audience and your ecosystem, and then we'll decide how your music's going to be.
What's a red flag you see early on with work ethic?
Number one question all the time is, what's your end goal? It tells me if they are delusional. There have been times when you have to turn to an artist and be like, I just don't think you're ready for a creative team.
Wow. Through bedside and virtual programs, Musicians on Call has delivered the healing power of music to over 1.2 million people in hospitals across the country. And now, MOC is looking for new volunteers to help share the joys of live music. Volunteer guides are the friendly faces who host the programs as volunteer musicians perform hopeful songs to put a smile on the faces of hospital patients, families, and caregivers. To learn more about becoming a Musicians on Call volunteer, visit www.musiciansoncall.org. Welcome to the Gigs Podcast. I'm your host, Nikki Sands, founder and CEO of Gigs. And today we have a super awesome guest. We have Ryan Maag. So Ryan is the founder of TSP Creative. He's a performer, a choreographer, and a creative director whose work has ranged from intimate theaters to Olympic ceremonies. He's shared stages with A-list stars around the world, and today he's focused on building artist identities and transforming their careers from studios to sold-out shows. Ryan, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you.
I met you probably a year or two ago. I've just been amazed by your work, and you're the type of person where the more conversations we have, the more I'm like, you worked with who? You've done what? And you're so humble, and what you're building right now with TSP Creative, with the collective that we're about to get into, I'm amazed by. But I want to start with the beginning.
Oh boy.
You started out as a dancer, yes?
I did.
Tell me, let's go there.
Dancer all my life, theater background, moving into that. And I think that's kind of brought me into the world that I'm in today, is because I can grasp both sides of the stage from being on it, but then also seeing it from an audience perspective, which I enjoy a lot. But yeah, I was a dancer whole life, danced professionally, danced back up, did those things. Then I got into it through the choreography because I learned very early on that you make a lot more money choreographing it than performing it.
Really?
For sure.
How old were you when you realized that?
Maybe 19, 20 years old.
Okay.
But I've danced on some bigger tours that were great, where you can, do that whole world and experience it. But then I think creating it is where I found my love. And actually, yes, I love being on stage, but I really love creating it and watching it come to life. And that, from body movement to the staging to the productions to all those things, is where I've just found my moment to be like, that's what I love to see.
What was your first tour that you went out with?
Oh my gosh, you're going to tell me my age.
Let's go.
Well, Weird Al Yankovic.
What? Oh my gosh.
Back up. Just dancing back up.
No. And singing? Backup singing?
Nope.
No, it was just backup dancer.
Just backup dancing, yeah, for that.
Whoa, was that fun?
Was my first time. Yeah, at the time. I mean, like, things were different then. This was like 1998. But so long.
What a cool first gig.
I would say that.
Did you enjoy the road?
Yes. At that time. I don't now.
I actually have not had a dancer on the podcast. So just a few questions. I know then we're getting into
ahead.
what you're doing now. But
good.
Curious, like, how life is different for you as a performer. Actually, I've never toured with any dancers. So like, how does that world work for you? And who's in charge of making sure that you guys get to where you need to go?
It's not much different than the crew, to be honest. We're considered crew, essentially. We're not considered the artists, although we would love to be. We're a support team, 100%. We they tend, at least in my experience, we're put in with like hair and makeup.
Wow.
It's like,
Okay. But you're in
we're
like
an
a
accessory.
Party. Yeah.
All the way through everything. But I would say for the most part, but it depends on the actual artist, to be honest. I have a lot of friends that are professional dancers that do dance backup, and if the artist is very into that relationship of more of a family style tour, then the dancers are very much a part of being in the green room with the artist and those type of things. But I've also been a part of camps where the artist flies in just for the show, and we have stand-ins for all the rehearsals and all of that too. So there's a lot of those different options. As we know, every artist is different.
Totally. What was your favorite tour that you did where you were dancing?
Actually, it wasn't really a tour, but MTV Music Awards was
really
definitely a fun, iconic moment.
Wow, yes.
Just being a part of that and watching that, but then also performing in. I'm a big parade person, so I love doing that because I come from theater. So I feel like this is the time you get to be real cheesy and over accentuate every movement and be really crazy. So it's less than a tour, but I think like a lot of those type of parades and things, the Macy's parade was fun.
Oh my gosh. Wow. Okay. So you learn that you can make some money actually creating, and then you clearly then learned how to coach and how to be that teacher.
Yep.
When did you realize like you're good at that?
I still don't think I'm good at it.
Well,
I try to be anyway.
I think your Emmys will say otherwise.
Yeah. I was like, wow. I'm the best at it. No, I try to challenge myself every project, and every project's so different. And I think that you learn every day, and when you stop learning, then you've stopped creating. And so I can't say that there was a definitive moment, but I've had a lot of pinch me moments where that imposter syndrome happens, and you're standing there and you're like, I can't believe this moment's happening to me. And or especially more in my later years, when I have more insight and older value of like cherishing the moment.
Wow.
And that came, I think, not only just creating, but coming as a creative director. Once I started doing creative direction and live events and doing all of those things, that's when probably a lot more of those moments happen. And you're like, I can't believe this is happening right now. Those
and that you're in that seat.
Yeah. And then I don't know how I'm standing in this room right now. Those type of things, let alone here today with you. Like, this is cool.
Yeah.
Right?
I mean, this is the peak. Hello. Come on.
It's cool. I'm here.
When did you learn about creative directing? Like, what is that? Did you always have that in your life as a dancer and see that might be somewhere you want to go? Like, talk about what that role even entails.
I laugh because my mom would tell you that when I was a dancer and being told what to do, I didn't like to be told what to do. I always thought I had a better vision.
There it is. I love that. Yep.
So I think at a young age, maybe, 9, 10, or 11 years old, I knew like I should be choreographing this, not the person they hired. And it's part of where they placed me in the routine, or in
of course.
I'm like, clearly.
Of course. Clearly they don't see the vision. I'm not
absolutely not. Clearly. The show's around me. Like,
obviously.
But I think that's when I really realized that I'm a more creator than I am doer in that instance. And I think from the creative direction, I've always been great at large scale viewpoints. And I don't know where that came from, to be very honest, because I grew up in more theater style, small. And I think if you hire a choreographer or a creative director, they're usually used to 8 to 10 dancers.
Right.
And I've had the very fortunate opportunity to choreograph all the way up to like 700. And these bigger numbers, when you work with those, and not a lot of choreographers have that skill set. And I think I just flourished in that. And I became known as, oh, well, it's going to be a large production, then you would want someone like myself on it for that. So
does that excite you more?
Yeah, 100%.
Do you think it's because it's such a bigger challenge, or does it feel easier to you?
Bigger challenge, and I love a good challenge. I don't think it's easier by any means. And truthfully, it's probably harder when you only have like 4 or 5 dancers because, where you have big, I can do so many different height, depth, and width creations that would add the 4th dimension to so many things,
right?
And everybody would do that.
So going from choreographer to creative director, you are hiring and working directly with the choreographer, right? Or multiple?
Now, yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Take me through, and again, you're a humble guy. I'm going to make you have to start bragging about things you've done. So take me through like some stories of what were those first few moments of choreographing events, dances, performances, and then what kind of led you into creative directing?
I think at first I was brought on some bigger projects with the NFL.
Okay.
And I think those I started earlier on through the angle of sideline performances.
Oh.
So I was extremely talented in what they call pom dance because I was pom dancer all the
Me
way
too.
through. And so,
Love it.
yes, you get it?
Oh, yeah.
And that is very NFL cheerleader / dancer, right? And so I was brought on to work with the Philadelphia Eagles at the time and the Denver Bronco cheerleaders and all these different moments. And so that kind of created these moments where you could do pregame shows and then you could do quarters and then you did have sideline production. And then eventually it moved into a halftime level. Maybe it was like do the Christmas show where you're choreographing everything. But then I started realizing that like, if I'm choreographing the dancers, then I want to logistically put together the staging and this is how I want them to look. And so I think it gradually grew into that. And then that grew into bigger things, you know, and then I think I was strong with it in other organizations. I was really honored to be asked to go down and do the NFL Down Under Bowl in Australia, where we took 700 dancers for the halftime show there with the NFL.
Whoa.
So that was incredible to be able to do those productions. And I think as time went, then it just things started, you get known for what you do. And as you know, in this industry, the entertainment industry in general, it's about who you know. And then you get in the room and now you got to back up what they told about you. And so I think it's about making sure you have those opportunities to get in there and do those things. And then as production started happening, I think artists slipped in there and it was more like staging and working with the artists and doing those things. And that grew over time and being able to do those moments where you're like, okay, this just happened and here I am and I just do these things. I'm like, okay, well, this is cool, you know, and I get to integrate music into things and I love music and I love all of that. And I am very eclectic in my choice. But you know, because not everybody has dancers, but everybody needs choreographed.
So a singer and a guitarist and the way the band moves on the stage. What do you call that?
Staging. So I work now living in Nashville, which
Where were
is
you?
funny. I went from Philadelphia, New York, then to Dallas, and then to here now in Nashville. But I think predominantly when you walk into a room to a country music singer, they do not want to be choreographed. And they're very, very adamant about that. However, it's funny because about 4 songs into staging them and teaching them things, I always like to do the slide back to be like, see, we just choreographed the first quarter of your show. And then they all just are like, the light bulb hits. And choreography doesn't mean just dancing. It could mean grab the mic at this part of the song and make sure you step left when you're doing this. And times have changed, you know? And that is one of the things where our jobs as creative directors and choreographers have really changed, because in the day you would have that guy, you know, or girl, you'd have someone up there with a big spotlight and it would follow the artist wherever the artist wanted to go. But that doesn't really happen anymore because everything's pre-programmed and gone through previs and these teams.
Right.
And so now it's very essential that the artists follow the plot and follow the plan, because the stage could be opening up or the stage is bringing up new instruments and doing all those things. So you would work with a stager or a choreographer to make sure that the artist knows what they're doing as you get into bigger.
There's an artist that's a new country artist, young guy, huge, that every time I've seen him, he does the exact same left-right movement with his hand. And then it's Tucker Wentmore. I'm like, dude, you need Ryan. Just get a different move. Anyways, oh my God, it was painful to watch. But also, he probably doesn't even know what else to do. And so you can guide.
Right? And that is, as they get into that point, I mean, there's really, I always say this, in my personal opinion, there's only one artist that can stand up there with a guitar and sing for 90 minutes and not do anything, and that is Chris Stapleton.
Yes.
And, you know, and everybody would sit there and go, okay, not a problem. We're going to just sit here and listen to this guy.
True that.
But performance and immersive experience is so important in these days. You know, that's important.
Yes. Okay. So we're going back. You're choreographing. First of all, this Down Under NFL, you get 700 dancers out there. What was the halftime show? What was this performance? Why did you need so many dancers?
It was an outreach program through the NFL to go global. And so they took 4 teams down,
wow.
Denver Broncos being one of them. They took, I can't remember the other 2, but I was with the Broncos at the time. But down for an outreach program.
Got
and
it.
they did this huge like thing that they did. And it was cool. Like they, it was awesome for those type of exposure to football, Americanized football. And then I guess going back to that story is that, that's when I really realized like creative direction is a place for me, coming at it from a different direction, because most creative directors come from either lighting or production or the staging.
Yes, right.
And I came from it from a dancer's perspective, which is really interesting, because then my viewpoint of theater blocking and stage blocking is totally different than a artist blocking, and so we've adjusted, and we make it our own quote unquote IP, if you will, on what we do to help artists do that direction. So I think that's where, I guess that's the moment that I really was like, I'm going to do creative direction, and I'm going to do choreography and mix them and do all these fun things. And the projects start coming then based on what your result is. And I think it starts to be word of mouth. It starts to be, people know people, and people talk, and they'll see something and they'll be like, oh, we want that. Well, that's who the person was behind it. And I think that's where it goes. But you also learn that it's not just you. There are teams of people to make that stuff happen when you're talking about those size of events. The Olympics is a massive amounts of teams.
When did you get onto that?
That was an amazing opportunity.
The Olympics?
2018, Pyeongchang, I found myself plotting out the medaling ceremonies for all of the Winter Olympics, and then coordinating performances at the closing ceremonies, and working on getting the athletes on and around, and what is the performance going to look like, and all those things. Well, that's a tremendous amount of team. There's like 30 of choreographers to be able to come in, and all from different countries, different language barriers, different rehearsal times. That to coordinate all of that was just awesome to sit back and learn. Because, like you said, as much as I was on the team, I was also a student of life at that point in my world. Because I'm getting to work with some of the biggest people on the planet. And, you sit there and you're like, wow, okay, this is a pinch me moment where I'm walking on with Team USA. What is that? You know what I mean? How does that work? And hanging out with that type of things, because I did never envision myself being a part of that, but it just happened, and you do it.
Well, you earned that.
Yeah.
And then you're in it like, this is the next huge challenge. Because I can imagine what you learned from these people who have been doing it for so long of why. And then were you able to... So you were staging for that, and
staging and choreography.
Oh, wow.
So I did the dance numbers, ironically working with a K-pop band at the time that was going out. I had no idea who they were, because I wasn't really a K-pop person, but ended up choreographing EXO, and that was really kind of cool, because you're like, oh, wow, I had no idea who they were.
Yeah. And then
but, I think that's the name of the game, right? You just enjoyed life, and you... you meet really cool people in this industry. We do. And as we build that, then you move through, and you're like, oh, I was sitting at a luncheon thing at the Olympics with the DJ or the sound guy that was going to be doing this whole performance in the closing ceremonies, not even realizing that it was Martin Garrix.
Jeez.
And then realizing that, oh, this is the magnitude of what he does.
Oh, wow.
And only because I'm not an EDM person, like I've never been in that world. So he was telling me all about it, and I didn't realize like literally 200,000 people show up to his shows.
I went to him in
that's
Ibiza.
Insane. Oh, okay.
And I wasn't like fully on the EDM train at that point, but I saw Martin Garrix in Ibiza, and I was like, I get it. I'm in.
Amazing production.
I'm in.
Like insane amount of production and what they do. And
oh my gosh.
And to like watch that happen and watch his work and all of that. I mean, that's just insane. I think it's beautiful. Yeah.
That's
all
crazy.
behind.
So Olympics and then Super Bowl you got involved in.
Did.
Yeah. In what capacities? Guide me through what that looked like.
Well, just through a lot of those things was more you're being put on teams for creative. You're being put on teams and opportunities to work with various different artists and to help that. That came through not from the Olympic connection I came through from my NFL years.
Oh, yeah.
Like doing all of that. And that just helped. And I'm well known in that world of NFL choreography because it was easy, for me to like jump in and do that stuff. So that was fine. But I would say, kind of where things have led from the creative direction, you do those moments, you start making great friends. And that's how you connect with other people that do bigger projects and things. And it was ironically through that, how I got brought on as creative director for the D-Day events.
That's
for the
how I was
government.
going next.
So
Yep.
you knew you were going to go there
I was so
next.
excited. Yep.
Of course. I shouldn't have brought it up. No,
Sorry.
But as creative director, I was brought on to integrate music to the D-Day events in Normandy, France, for our government. And that was incredible. I did the 80th and the 81st. I'm not going back to the 82nd. I'm really sad.
Jeez.
You
got plenty going on right now.
They asked me to come back, and I'm like so
gosh.
sad. I just am so swamped. It's always over CMA Fest, and we have that's just
so many
huge.
artists.
Like that's June 6th.
Yep.
So, but anyway, talk about imposter syndrome because now you're literally you're standing in a room with your 5-star generals and shaking the hand of the president of the United States and the State Department and these people, and you're like, yeah, how did that happen? How did this little dancer from Philadelphia make it to here, at this moment? So that's when those things happen.
Creative directing and choreographing, the performance to celebrate D-Day.
Yeah, so I didn't really do a lot of choreography. We don't have a lot of dancers.
Okay.
But it's coordinating all the music integration. So from whether there's cocktail parties all the way to big ceremonies to concert venues that all need plugged with artists. So we actually flew over Scotty Hastings.
Yeah.
He's from what at the time was from Black River Entertainment and Black River Records. And Scotty was awesome because he was a veteran. And I had the opportunity to work with him. He's one of my very interesting stories of artists that you work with. Speaking of a country artist that doesn't want to be choreographed by any means, but he was a veteran. He was shot 10 times in Afghanistan, then went from there, came back during COVID, picked up a guitar, taught himself guitar from YouTube, got discovered, and now is a record deal and albums out and songs and a huge following and in the military world. So it was really cool to take him over. And our very first performance over there was a luncheon for the Big Red One military group, and he was one of the members of Big Red One. So it was kind of cool to bring him up to do that, and we flew over World War II vets as well. So that was really cool to experience all of that, to go through those type of things. I would say that's probably one of my favorite things I've worked on in my entire life.
And how beautiful that you actually, what you're creating right now, which we'll go into, is almost, you have to put your time into that and not do one of the coolest things you've ever experienced.
For sure.
Which
it's a tough decision.
Yes. And so that's getting into TSP Creative. That's getting into the 100 different companies that you're working with to really make this this vision is unbelievable and no one is doing it. And so I know we're skipping around, but I do want to get into it. So tell me about the creation of TSP Creative in the first place.
I know that you know Sooner.
Oh, yeah.
And Sooner is a great friend of mine. And I had told her I really want to get into artist staging and go into that world and really dive into that. I was tired of traveling and doing so much stuff for that. And she was like, then you need to move to Nashville. And she's literally the reason we moved to Nashville. And I was like, okay, then I need to do it. And so I did. We started building some things. The idea behind TSP was to start with artist development on a younger, emerging artist level. And that came from working with Black River. Honestly, Gordon Kerr, president of Black River, gave me a really awesome opportunity. I was moving to the area. I got 2 opportunities right out of the gate, which was really awesome. And the first opportunity was in the music industry with Gordon and Black River. And he said, I've got several artists on our roster. How about you come in and do creative? He knew what I've done. He knew the staging. So that was where I met Scotty Hastings. I also worked there with Marin Taylor and a couple other people and gone through his roster and working on that, which was just an incredible opportunity that I was able to just get into.
Yeah.
The second one, I got called into a meeting from my dance background and creative direction background, also tied into the NFL, was they were revitalizing the Nashville Cats.
Oh my gosh,
And
yes,
so
yes.
they were doing that, and they said, we want to bring you on as creative director, and we need to turn Municipal Auditorium into an arena football.
Yes.
And so that was my very first project. Week 2 moving here, I walked into the Municipal Auditorium.
Good old Municipal.
And it was like, we're tearing down all these lights. We did all the lighting. We worked on the rigging opportunities. If you still go in there today, it's still wrapped with cats and all of the things. I know since then, cats have now moved to Clarksville, I believe.
Got it.
But, at the time, like the whole inside balcony was wrapped in a color. We invented the creative concepts of building the logo, but more kind of modernizing the logo and doing all of those things, and then down to choosing, font that's going to be for the sideline stuff, and developing the dance team and developing the audience integration. So that was my first step to here in Nashville. TSP just grew because we started doing that. So it was more about creative direction and artist advancement. And then we just built one thing at a time. And then we sat down, and this story, and I'm not afraid to say it, Sooner and I were drinking. And as most good ideas happen coming from drinks. But anyway, we were having a glass of wine, and we were like, we really should just merge our companies and like make this huge ecosystem.
And again,
for artists.
Sooner does production
playground.
Development in the playground
for
production design for artists as big as Coldplay.
Correct.
And so you're focused on kind of the newer artists, and she's already kind of up doing the larger production design work.
Yeah. So the playground does production, lighting design, stage design, anything that you would need as an artist from a production side standpoint.
Yep.
But a kind of higher end artists, if you will, because that are more in place that can afford a full stadium tour, multiple trucks or whatever. She does, Chris Stapleton, our favorite. She also does Noah Kahan, Muse, Coldplay,
Megan Thee
Stallion, Doechii, all of those. They go to Alice Cooper. That was a big one. Phil Wickham's on tour right now. It just did that. So it's like this whole end that really, and then our other side of TSP was, okay, now we have these artists, these emerging artists that some have never even released a song in their life. They just come in, they audition for us. We decide, there is a trajectory there and there is an opportunity, and we sync all of that funding and creative and everything around them. In that sense, we're not a label. So we're not trying to like sign them to a label and do all of those things. It's more about getting them their identity. And I could speak on this for hours, but it's just, the fact that the world has changed in the music industry. You used to have an incredible song and incredible music, and then you would go out and then you would get to a label, and then the label would create your identity, and then you would go out and you would get all your followers and an audience, and then you'd go on tour and you'd support it all, and that's how it'd go. But times have changed. Social media is extremely prevalent in the world. And so now it's adverse, right? You've got to build yourself an identity as an artist first, then you build your audience and your ecosystem, and then we'll decide how your music's going to be. And it's just changed, you don't have to, some people would argue that it's extremely sad, but it's our culture. It's what we're in right now. The quality of music isn't near as important as the quality of your brand.
That's crazy.
And that has changed this whole world. So I think that's, as we started building this, what we refer to as our ecosystem, we started realizing, okay, these artists that we're building on need more and more different areas, things that I don't want to supply, like vocal lessons. I can't do that. So we team up with the vocal lesson people, and then we team up with PR, then we teamed up with graphic design and social media experts and all these things. And we slowly started one by one, stylists, hair, makeup, photographers, videographers. And then we know we can do the performance coaching, of course, and the choreography or anything that you need as an artist. But as we started building that, an idea would be that you could take an artist from zero, never releasing a song, putting them through the entire system and eventually needing to walk into Sooner's office at Playground and say, I need a full service tour that's going to drop us down in the production and what it's going to look like to go all the way through. So we always joke around a company and say 0 to Coldplay, wherever you are, we'll fit you in. Or we say, from studio to sold out shows. Honestly.
Again, when we were talking about this, I'm like, how is this not... Well, first of all, in order to do something like this, you have to have the connections. You have to have the credibility to say, yes, of course we can do this. And that's something you guys have gained throughout your whole career, the relationships. And so when you do need a stylist or a vocal coach, you have those people. And so bring it all together. But who else is doing this? Why doesn't this exist? And I think when I asked you this, the answer, why?
I hope no one else starts it.
Yeah. You're already ahead.
No, I think honestly, there's not a lot because you're exactly right. It takes the right team and the right coordination of people. TSP itself might be new, but I'm not new. Playground might be new, but Sooner's not new. And through our years of being on the road or out doing what we've done in our careers, and what's really fun is Sooner's at it from a whole different door than I am. And I'm coming from being on the stage as a dancer and that type of level of production and creative direction. And she's been it from, she was a roadie as lighting designer and light tech and then it's a matter of you in this path, you're making all those connections that I was talking about too. As you start to make all these connections, you realize this is why it all pays off. It's about lead with integrity, make sure you always take a meeting, always end every relationship positive, because someday it'll circle back around and you'll need that relationship. I think that as we built that, it was just one of those things that I think has flourished for us. And then it just one thing happens after another where you meet the next person in that path. And I think our artists right now, we're TSP, we're at 14 artists retained, and I see Playground actively right now is sitting at 12 A-list artists that they're out on design with, but there's a lot more in the pipelines, both directions. We're just building a world that is a lot of fun. I don't know of anybody else doing what we're doing because we're coming at it from two totally different directions.
Right.
Other than I would say Hybe, I will say they're out of South Korea.
Yep.
They did a strong thing with BTS. Because you remember they started BTS before BTS had any music out, no fans, nothing, and they built them all the way to what they are now.
Wow.
So I think, handling all of that, there is that world. K-pop is very strong in the artist development and following them through their journey, where we don't do that in the United States a lot, like in any genre of music. It's like, bring me what you already have and I'll flourish at the next part, So I think,
bring me Ella Langley with the bangs.
Oh my gosh.
Whoever made that decision is so
I
smart.
could talk for an hour on Ella Langley right now. She's my favorite.
She's amazing. She just dropped that album.
She's so amazing.
Yeah.
And
something that I'm thinking about right now is it would be so cool to be a fly on the wall with you and Sooner in a room, because as she was on the podcast and talking about Megan Thee Stallion's coiled lighting because it was about a snake, and where she staged, I can imagine the way you guys collaborate on these creative decisions is the magic. You can't have one without the other. You both 100%. Know each other's world, but you're both experts in your own. I just think that is fantastic. That you guys work together in that way, because you have to, right? You have to team up.
I laugh. I'm smiling right now because I think it's my team and her team merging has been so much fun. I sit back and I see it on an outside, we now share office. I mean, we have a big office building. My team I have my assistant, who is now head of our creative department, been with me for 7 years. Wow. And Sooner's assistant's been with her for 7 years.
Whoa.
So to watch those two work together now has been kind of fun. But Sooner and I are like brother and sister. So it's not always roses. When you have two creative minds come together, right? There's a vision. And both of us have visions, and my vision comes at it from a different direction than hers does.
Yeah.
But what I can say is when we argue it all out, it comes to the absolute best I think anybody could ever do.
That's so cool.
But there's a full argument for sure, which is great.
The process, isn't it?
Right?
You trust the process.
So much fun, yeah.
Actually, I would love to get into the process a little bit.
Okay.
Like, obviously you have innate talent and visions that kind of come to you and you feel things and it can come like that. But how do you get into it? Like, you could probably look at someone and kind of understand where you want to guide that artist potentially. But what is your process like? Like, how do you get into actually seeing what that performance is going to look like, or what that style should be, or what it should sound like? How do you get there?
So that's really absolutely one of the better questions I think I've ever gotten. So
thank you. It's a pinch me moment on the Gigs podcast.
Pinch me moment. I love it. It's so good because there's two different levels here, right? Sooner gets on a scope call with an artist who's already established.
Oh yeah.
So when you get a call that's from an artist that's already established, the direction's there.
Yeah.
You already know and make it very plain as day. If Dolly Parton calls you, you know exactly what you're getting.
Yes.
If Reba calls you, you know what you're getting, and the same thing with Coldplay. Like you're not going to be like, hey, Coldplay, we're going to do Flowers. It's not going to work. So she has that. That is a hurdle as much as it is a blessing.
Interesting.
Because sometimes you might have visions and want to go a direction and the artist is like, no, not doing that,
Right.
Where on the TSP side, for the most part, they're almost Play-Doh, right? Depending on their sound and their music and the style that they're going to go. I mean, we're not there to tell them the genre to go into because they primarily already know, and if they're at the level where they're seeking a team the way that we would, then they pretty much know the genre they want to go. They need help refining it. And that has been a journey, right? And you'd be very surprised. A lot of the music industry would say that it's the females that are harder to work with, but I find it to be the males because they get so stuck in, this is how I have to do it,
Yeah.
And you have to let them go through that world, where females are their own journey because they need hair and they need styling and they need makeup.
They need to feel good about themselves.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, everybody
everybody does.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
But and it's kind of fun, and that's, and I enjoy that side.
Yeah.
But I think for us, when you say the process, I think we always do a scope meeting first.
Cool.
Scope meeting means we sit down with the artist. Tell us where you're at with your career. Let's look at your social media numbers. Let's look, if you already have music out, let's talk about your Spotify numbers. Let's talk about your Apple numbers. Let's talk about where you're going. Do you have a journey? And then my next number one question all the time is, what's your end goal?
Yeah.
And I have to know that because then it tells me by that answer multiple things. I'm almost afraid to say this publicly. But it tells me so many things because it tells me if they are delusional.
Oof.
Because that happens, and what kind of artist they want to be or don't want to be. And that is huge because it sets the trajectory. And we call it the POA, the plan of action. And so we start to set that in. If I said to an artist, I want to sell out Nissan Stadium. I want to sell out stadium tours. And I'm like, that's probably not going to happen.
Yeah.
And you have to have that conversation because there's a certain voice for that.
Yeah.
And what I think artists forget is that the vocals lead where your venue is.
Interesting.
And a lot of that is because of your energy and what you can do and how you can do it. Because we know that if you're an intimate performer and you're thriving on all of your intimate numbers, then putting you at Nissan Stadium is going to be very difficult.
Alison Krauss isn't playing Bridgestone. She's in a theater.
Right. Well, you can, yeah.
Right.
And,
or maybe she is playing an arena.
Yeah, maybe.
Never mind.
Bridgestone, you can still create an intimacy.
Yeah.
That's an arena tour, right? But outdoors, stadium, it's such a huge room to fill.
Wow.
That's a Taylor Swift. That's a Lady Gaga. That's a Sabrina Carpenter. Those are your bigger performers that can do it. And there are a lot of country artists that could do it. Lainey Wilson can do that.
Right.
Because she's got that vibe, right? It's this vibe. And you know it when you meet them early on in their career.
Interesting.
And then the next big gauge is their work ethic because you need a 12 out of 10. every single time. And if they expect everything to come to them, that's going to be your issue, And so we can see that usually on the early onset.
Yeah.
And then there's also the adverse of that, through what we say, the helicopter artist, right? Oh, yeah. The one that gets in their own way because they want to pick out every single detail and when it's going to happen. That happens in all angles of this whole path, from zero to studios and sold out shows and all the things that we're putting them in. But it's a matter of like taking their vibe and doing it. What works for you, what works on that side, and then asking them the tough questions of, if I ask you to go sing this, are you open to that? What do you like? What do you like to do? Because a lot of that matters, especially nowadays, brand integration is huge. So our big next thing is sending you through our marketing department. So where we go, what kind of brands do you not want to be associated with ever? What kind of brands you want to be associated with, and it's like, and then we know we have a lot of connections in the business. So we're able to be like, hey, I have this artist and she loves a Kylie lip. So great. We will call Kylie and we will get you on the lip side because we can do that, but then, some of them don't want to be in makeup, and then you're like, okay, how are we going to make this happen?
Is that a big way to fund an artist's career too, is just from sponsorship?
Yeah.
How else do you fund that? Like investors?
Investors would do it. A lot of them, we helped as part of the packages that we do in our development department, is we'll help create investor decks to concept decks and brand guidelines for the artists so they can pitch them out to their teams and to people. We also have a tank of investors that love the music business and that. So if we find an artist that is ready to really do something that we could foresee, we can pitch that as well and see where they go.
What's a red flag you see early on with work ethic or otherwise?
Lack of work ethic.
Yeah, lack of work ethic.
Flag. Also, there have been times, I'm not going to lie, when you have to turn to an artist and be like, I just don't think you're ready for a creative team.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
You're going to need to come back when you're ready for a creative team. Because what you don't understand is that we know the business. We know what those lights look like on the stage. We know what this looks like from this. I know how to get you to move the right way so it reads well. And when you're costing that, you're in the way because you want other things. Then, so I think that's a red flag, is when they start to go, not to say that we have to tell them everything.
Right.
Because I want artists' input. I think that's so important. It's your brand. You're the CEO. But you have to trust us to guide you in that direction. So what does that look like? We go about it that way.
That's so interesting. I feel like you either have it or you don't. Is there a way to get someone to have it, or just they don't have it? Is that the delusion side?
That is a tough question. My reason for that is I was speaking at Samford University a couple weeks ago, and when that same question was brought up by one of the students there, and I said, "Do you know what happens if the artist wants it and they don't have it?
Yeah,
and can the artist ever do it?" And the answer is yes. If there is a will, there is always a way.
Yeah.
Now it's a much more costly experience. When you don't have, there's different things, you don't have the look. Okay. We're going to have to really revive everything.
Yeah.
You don't have and I will backtrack a little bit on the look part, because times have changed a little bit on that side. Things are a lot more acceptable than they used to be.
Yeah.
Depending on the genre you're in.
Yeah. Yeah.
However, people would be very surprised that R&B hip hop genre is not forgiving in that side, where you look at like country music is getting better, where they didn't used to be as accepting. True. And not everybody's going to walk out there looking like Carrie Underwood. She is stunning.
That's it.
But you know what I mean? But I think that you get into that. But I think also there is the sound part. Obviously there's a lot of things that we can do, but from instrumentation, and we can guide you. We can have hella producers in there.
Yeah.
But then what does that look like when your live show doesn't match your track?
Oh my gosh.
That's a big deal. We do deal with that a lot, on that side. So we have to work with producers constantly to be like, I think that's one of the challenges a lot of people don't realize is everybody hears the Ella Lanleys who have an incredible voice, but they have a full band. Yeah. But that's not practical when you're starting out because so you might have a killer song, but I need you to be able to perform it in an acoustic way.
Same with pop.
All
that's
they
tough.
can, well, exactly, because all they can afford is an acoustic guitar in themselves.
Yeah.
Or they can't afford to have even a 4-person band travel with them. They're in a pickup truck trying to get down the road to go to the next show.
Yeah.
So how do you do that when the song has 18 instruments on it? And you're like, oh, and I get that with producers all the time. They're like, well, we just added keys over here. And I'm like, yeah, they don't have a keyboardist. Like it's not happening. So I love that you added keys, but you got to take that out of that mix because the reality isn't that they can't make the sound happen. Wow. But on the front end with TSP, with your developing artists, that's our biggest hurdle is getting them to a point where they can afford things because these are artists that can't even afford rent next month, let alone what they're doing to try to break it and to make it happen. Wow. One of my biggest things is with Sooner that I'll share this story. She cracks up because we would do like a record cover for one of our developing artists, and she'll go and she'll, well, we'll just get this font. I want this font for them. And I'm like, yeah, that font's $125. Stop. And she's like, it's $125. I'm like, yeah, we can't do it. They can't afford it. Like they can't, these artists we can't front all that constantly.
Right.
Once, great. But now the next album come out and we have 14 artists. So times $100 an artist just for one cover. That doesn't make sense for us to buy all that font. But in the A-list world, it's normal. Like you just bill it into the creative budget.
Exactly.
There is not a creative budget. So, that's the part that people don't realize that every dollar really matters. And when you're learning to scale down like that, then you're like, okay, great. So now we have the free font sites. You got to choose a font from here until they can afford to buy the font. Those
it's always so cool to see the progression of that first album cover to like when they are in stadiums. Like how are they doing now? Insane. Oh, they have a creative team that's buying the $125 font. Damn it. They can buy 2. Exactly. Yeah. So what do you think actually builds trust in that brand, since the artist at this stage, at this level now, is the brand is everything? What builds trust? If it's not fully talent, potentially it could be greater than that. It could be their personality, whatever. What is the main thing or main few things that build that trust? I think you just
said it. It's their personality. It's relatability. It really is. As long as someone's watching and someone's listening and they can go, oh, I like that person. That's all they care about.
Wow. I could get a beer with them.
Yeah. They love that.
That's so crazy.
They love that. Huh. I mean, that's just it. Speaking of Ella, she really started popping off once she started getting more relatable. Yes. And you think about it because she was going in that trajectory. And then the minute that her videos were like stripped down. Yes. Almost like they weren't, but let's say they were almost looked like they were shot on the iPhone. Right. And it was relatable. People were like, oh, I love this girl. And she's been through it. She knows what she's doing. She's got this. And me too.
Totally.
And then that's how like Be Her is happening so good for her. Choosing Texas. This is huge for her moment right now because the whole world's connectable to her. And I think that doesn't happen for an artist until they get to that point.
That's interesting. It's like, I'm even thinking like a similar artist, Megan Maroney right now. She's not attainable because that's like her beauty and everything, but her songs are all about that heartbreak that everyone's
100%,
experienced.
100%.
Yeah.
Speaking of an artist that probably shouldn't be doing stadiums, she should be doing like arenas, large arenas. Megan would be amazing at that because of the connection and the emotion behind it. I think her whole, and by the way, I love her branding. I don't know who's doing it.
Me too. Yeah.
But that whole like pink clouds and her whole website and everything that she's got going on, insane.
In every album release, it's all kind of slightly different, but it's her. Yeah, they're
100%
killing it.
She's on it.
Yeah. This episode is brought to you by Gigs, the professional career platform for the live event industry. So if you're looking for jobs in the live event space, or if you are hiring in this industry, go to gigs.live, become a professional, become an employer, start posting jobs and applying to jobs now. Join our community of tens of thousands of professionals in this industry. We have events around the country. We have employment opportunities. We have entertainment. We have education. So join Gigs today, gigs.live. Also, please go give us a 5-star review and follow us on our socials at gigs.live. I want to get into AI because I know this is something that you guys are diving into. You said it's one of the biggest conversations on your mind right now.
It is.
What are you excited about it? And what do you think our industry might be getting wrong about it?
It is. It's big on my mind. It's heavy on my heart. There's good and positive and negative and horrible thoughts with all of it, like it is in any industry.
Exactly. Yeah.
I think music industry is freaking out a bit. I think there's some really incredible platforms and things moving that direction with Moises and with Suno and those type of things. For me personally, from a creative standpoint, I hold true, and I know Sooner and I've had massive conversations about this because she get panicked. We
Right.
get panicked about that. Like, well, if an AI could just design a lighting for that show,
Yeah.
does that mean I don't have a job anymore?
Right.
Or I can, think about this. I don't know if you saw, but there's this Japanese label that brought out backup dancers, and they were all robots.
Stop.
And they were all, on this part. Not that that's AI, but they're just moving through all this stuff.
Yeah.
To me, I look at that and go, it's really cool. How do we integrate it?
Yeah.
I look at AI as a tool and not so much as a replacement. And I
Exactly.
think
Yep.
we have to educate people all the time. I think because it doesn't scare me because I live in the creative world. And I live in it because my whole job and my whole success in life is to come up with something that no one's seen before or to do something that everyone's shocked about, but it worked. And I think those are my challenges every time I address it. What a better way than for AI to be doing that right now.
Yeah.
And I look at it this way. I say all the time, AI in the music industry is not the time where we switch from CDs to MP3s. It's not a changeover to work. It is a tool. And I think of it as like a looping machine. When the looping machine first came out, it was like everybody was like, what? Like that doesn't make sense. And But then Ed Sheeran walks out with this looping machine and does an arena tour with 5 guitars.
Yep.
And a
Crazy.
looping machine.
And a looping.
Right? And I mean that's it. And the guy's making millions because he just went around doing that. Right. So I think if you treat AI like your looping machine, it's a tool. It's an asset. And if you know how to use it and how to integrate it, then your game changes. And I think from a creative direction perspective, we have integrated AI on the daily. Our amount of our subscriptions monthly is short of most people's rent because our team is using it constantly.
Yes.
Not for the output, but for the input. And that's the key. And so I think a lot of people go, oh, well, I don't think AI should be creating your album cover,
Right.
but it should be inspiring the cover,
There it is.
which therefore it's the input and not the output of the artist.
Interesting.
The song, Suno, is an incredible tool to help you as a songwriter get through moments. It's not creating your output. It's not creating what your end goal is, but it sure could help you push through to be a better person and a better artist. And I think that's what people need to be doing in this industry right now.
Why not use a calculator? Like, why do long division
100%.
when you can use a calculator? That's how I see it too. Yes.
I love that analogy.
And it's not stealing the output. That's a huge part. People are so scared of that. But also at the same time, I'm sorry, but have you heard a song without a synth or without some kind of looping or like some kind of auto tune? Like we've been doing it for a long time. It's not fully human. It hasn't been fully human for a long time. Maybe there are some bands that are doing it, like Stapleton might do one take, but there's still like the mixing and mastering process is still refining. And so it's just kind of that next level of it. But I think, yeah, it's exciting while knowing how dangerous it could be, but using it well. Beautiful.
I just think about like there is this whole world of AI creation.
Yeah.
Maybe there's a Grammy Award for the best AI.
Oh my gosh.
Maybe
whoa.
that happens down the world. Who knows? Yeah. I don't know that that's actually necessarily putting anyone out of business. I think they're not seeing it. They see it that way, but it's more about the prompter. It's hiring the
Exactly.
prompter, i.e. you hire a songwriter, and so it could help. I don't know and that's for time to tell.
Right.
But
we're in the Wild West right now.
yeah,
It'll
for
start
sure.
getting regulated and all the things, but
100%.
I want to know what you work so closely with artists and creatives. There's a lot that they have to carry, and there's a lot of people they're managing, a lot of people you're managing. It's just like a lot of, what do you understand about the pressure that they're uniquely carrying?
I say this all the time. A good creative director is harnessing their vulnerability. And I think that because the time that an artist is most vulnerable is during a rehearsal with a creative director. That's when they make mistakes. That's when they're going to go the wrong way. That's when they might crack vocally. That's when, and I see it. I see it for every artist I work with, them at their worst because they're just learning. It's not refined yet. And I think when they trust you to know that you're telling them the right thing and you're harnessing that vulnerability to say, I got you.
Yes.
And I get it. That part does sound like shit right now. And we're going to work on it. And we're going to figure this out because I think it should stay. Or you can say, not a problem. Let's not go left there. Let's go right. Does it feel better to go right? Let's go right.
Cool.
And it's a matter of doing those type of things to them to know that. And I think that is the journey. There's so much pressure because they want it to be right all the time. And because if they get it wrong, it's their livelihood.
Yeah.
And that's the hardest part.
It's in your office. I got to go see it. It's you get to see this really small area with microphones and like that's your little intimate area where you are doing this with these A-list artists.
Yes.
But so they could go into their rehearsals where you think they're rehearsing it, but they already know what they're doing there.
Absolutely. Because you remember when an artist goes onto their rehearsals, like the big rehearsals over at Rock Nashville City or something like that, right? There's an entire room full of people during that rehearsal. All your content people are getting everything ready. You're all the way down to the janitor in the building. Right. And now you as an artist are going to make a mistake. That's huge. That could add a lot of mistrust in your team to go, oh my gosh, does this artist have what it takes to make the show happen? And that's a horrible feeling when you're an artist to know that. So we provide that. As a creative director, you would always have a private rehearsal with the artist till the artist was ready to be, because we all know in the artist world, the minute you step out of your home, you're on. There's nothing you can do to get away.
Because you are a brand.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
What pressure do you feel like you and creative directors hold in what you're standing in?
Ooh, to get it right. Oh my gosh. I like to say that I know exactly what the audience wants to see. But I'm also not going to say that I haven't done something and everybody just didn't get the reaction I wanted it to get.
Yeah.
And so I think that's the hardest part of this job is I'm going to do what I think is best. And I'm going to do everything I can to make that work. And I hope that the better percentage of the time I am right on.
Yes.
But
you probably learned that though, which is crazy. Like as a kid, as a dancer, you are so intimate with the audience of exactly what moves and energies are actually giving to this audience and what they want. But it changes all the time. Well, and you got people's phones in front of their faces now. And
absolutely. Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
And it helps. I laugh and joke because I'm so dramatic. I'm a dramatic person.
Me too.
But that's because I grew up in the dance world.
Yeah.
Like I literally from the age of 2, you go into rehearsal every single day, 6 days a week. And you're like, be more dramatic, be bigger, extend the arms better, do these things to make that stuff happen. So no wonder it transforms into my personal life where I'm like, oh my God, my house is such a mess, but there's like 3 dishes in the sink. You know what I mean? Like,
yes.
Because I'm so dramatic.
Sorry for the mess.
So sorry for the mess.
Yes. I don't think that'll ever get out of me either, unfortunately.
Yeah, it's just how it works, right?
Yes. You're a creative until you die. Yeah. And then you are still creative. Yes. Is there anything that any advice you would give to someone who has that in them and is curious and wants to pursue this? What would you tell them?
Be the yes. Be the yes in a room full of no's is what I say all the time. Just be the yes. Say yes to everything. I know a lot of people will say, you want to know your worth and you want to know all these things. I get it. But take every meeting and say yes.
Yes. Even when you've made it, take every meeting.
100%.
Yeah.
Why? We're in this world where it's like, you don't know what will happen. and you're like, oh, I'm going to take this meeting because I just thought, next thing you know, oh my goodness, here's where I am.
What a testament to that, because now you're working with, what is it, like 16 companies right now?
I think we're a little more than that right now, total. We're adding 3 more next week. But,
next week?
So yeah.
Wow.
So yeah.
That many companies
I don't own
together.
all of them.
Right, no, but
thank
partnerships.
God. But partnerships and joint ventures and a lot of those things. There's a lot of that because it takes an entire village to make something happen.
Exactly.
And I think there's a lot of value to that. We're also trying really hard to not just be in the Nashville market, and not just be one genre. I think that's huge. We have to work and branch out ourselves to do that, for sure.
That is too cool. And I think it's also like a passion of mine, obviously starting smaller with this podcast, but really like I'm so passionate to let the audience know what goes on. But that's like where with crew, it's like for show and for pre-show. But this is even before, it's like for the artist's identity, for what that brand looks like, and all the decisions that so many people made to have Espresso come out with Sabrina Carpenter to win the Song of the Year. Like, do you know how many people were involved in that one decision? It's just, I'm amazed by it. And I think it's such a cool world that you're standing in, and what a big part you are to involve the crew to even have a job in the first place. Is there anything else that I didn't get to that you wanted to talk about this in particular? I hope that I kind of got around to it.
I think it's just fun.
Yeah.
I thank you so much for shedding light on this angle.
Yeah.
Right? I think that I'm very familiar with gigs. I'm familiar with a lot of this. In fact, I believe we just posted a job on your
Hey, go for it. Cool.
But I love the fact that this is a platform that is open to the entertainment industry. And I love the fact that it's shedding light on multiple different areas. It's not just about one area of the music industry. I think that is going to continue to thrive for you for sure. And I think I love it. This is great.
Give me all the advice. Tell me where I should go. Thank you. Is there any, I want to just do a couple quick rapid fire. What was your first concert you ever attended?
Oh goodness. Tiffany.
Well, how old were you?
Oh gosh. 12, 13 maybe.
Amazing.
Yeah.
What was your first show you ever worked?
Jessica Simpson.
Oh my gosh. What were you doing?
Dancing.
Don't say you were dancing. Oh my gosh, that's epic. That was probably in her peak time as well.
Yeah, she was dating Nick Lachey at the time.
Oh
it was
my
great.
gosh. Yeah.
Those are old.
What a moment.
See how old I am?
That's amazing.
I think it was like 1997.
Wow.
I don't know.
Incredible. What is something when you are, this is a little bit different. Usually when I say like when you go on the road or when you are in the creative process or when you're working, like what is a tool or an item that you have to have with you?
Jazz music.
Really?
Yes.
Is that what calms you?
Mm-hmm. Classical and jazz. I don't like to listen to music with lyrics.
Okay. But jazz is all over the place.
I love it. Keeps my mind just
and it's chaotic. Okay. You might have ADHD. Yes.
I know.
It's crazy.
That has to be playing, and it absolutely drives me nuts when people are playing songs with lyrics.
Yeah, I can't.
When I'm in the workplace, because I'm like, I start working.
Right. Yes.
I will drive down the road listening to nothing.
Me too.
I will drive
That's
for
amazing.
hours to no car. Yeah.
Wow. I'm a spa music person. That's funny. Yeah. And then what is the worst advice you've ever received?
I don't have anything. I take everything and I learn from it. And I think there's been some decisions where I'm like, oh, I won't do that again.
Yeah.
But I still learn from it, you know, and I think like I said, I think the key to success is always saying yes. Yeah. And people will be like, can you call show? I've never called show before, but I'm like, I'll call show. Not a problem. And next thing I know, I'm calling show. And you know what I mean? Like, that's just what you do. Because I'm like, you're going to make it work.
Yes.
And I will figure it out. So I don't know that I'll ever want to call a show again, but here
what
I am
show was
flying
it?
out next week to call show.
Are you?
Yes.
Ridiculous. That's too cool. What are you, to end, what are you most excited about over the next 90 days?
Ooh, next 90 days. We have some new awesome things happening over at TSP and Playground. We're launching some new programs and some different things for our artists. And I think by the end of June, those will all be public. And I think people are going to be really happy and surprised at the same time that we grew to this next level so fast. So I'm excited about that.
I can't wait to see it. Thank you so much, Ryan. You are the best.
Thank
This is
you.
awesome.
You're awesome. Thanks.